Namaste, everyone. I'm going to channel Pleiadian beings that wish to communicate to everyone on the planet at this time. I open my channel to receive empowering, inspirational messages from Pleiadian beings that are around me at this time, that are here to help all of mankind transition into the golden age in the 5,000 years to come. The Pleiadian beings that have been with humanity since the beginning of Earth, and are here now helping to facilitate the transformation on this planet towards the spiritual awakening, the Kundalini awakening, that will lead to high amount of creativity, fulfillment, contentment, and overall satisfaction for the human experience, the well-being, the good health, and the good nature of human beings. I am open, available, and ready to receive. I am clear. I am purified. I'm spacious. I'm expansive, cosmic in nature. I raise my vibration. I raise my vibration. I raise my vibration. I raise my vibration. May all messages that come through me be of clarity, be trustworthy, and to be in the service of prosperity, liberty, justice, harmony, and human ascension into higher dimensions of experience, existence, and consciousness. Do not be alarmed by what is going on at this time. You are headed out of the dark age. Remember that. These ways of the past will not stand. Your internet, your connection to each other is what's going to help you bring integrity to your planet. There are those who are in positions of power, we'll say, that do not have the best interests for humanity. Their agendas are even extraterrestrial. You as human beings, all of you, your connection with each other through the internet, your ability to share with each other, to join together, is how you will be able to raise the vibration of this planet into a fifth dimensional experience for all of humanity, not just a group of individuals. You have been bound to the third dimension for the Dark Age for thousands of years, and you receive in plain sight secrets that are in plain sight. Even your Holy Bible is secrets in plain sight about how you can liberate yourself. But it's for you to decipher. There are codes within many spiritual scripts throughout this planet and many different religions and philosophies. But you must unlock your mind. Your meditation is your tool. It is there, but you must have the clarity of mind to download the code that will help you to liberate yourself into a higher plane, more liberated plane of existence. You've been bound to the third dimension, designed to be fools, to be foolish, to be impulsive, to be imbalanced, and to not know how to lead yourself. Through your connection with each other, you will reestablish leadership as an individual, as nations, as community. That is the integrity of this planet moving forward. In being bound to the third dimension for thousands of years, everybody was banned from accessing the fifth dimension. Such concepts of prosperity, such concepts of equality, of justice, were forbidden to speak of for many thousands of years. All of the spiritual scripts that originate from a fifth dimensional planet Earth were burned, removed, and a lot of them are hoarded in the hands of individuals who are connected to extraterrestrial agendas. And a lot of the artistry, culture, spirituality, philosophy of this golden age, of the fifth dimensional existence on planet Earth, is very much forgotten. It's near entirely lost. Very small percentage of it actually is coming through to the collective. A very small percentage of people are actually able to connect with these ancient scripts that come from Atlantis and Lemuria, that come from Mars, that come from far distant space, even Pleiades. But through your connection with each other, your ability to share, you will bring integrity to this planet. And what's going on right now is that all agendas that are out of integrity will be exposed. And that's the great luck, you can say, the luck on your side, is that your internet, your connection with each other, will expose. And this is in the dark age that we are transitioning out of. Nobody knew what was going on until it was too late. But now, people can remedy mistakes, remedy the choices and decisions that are to be made through your connection with each other. And that's what's bringing integrity to the future and the future outcomes and possibilities, is your ability to remedy through seeing into the veil. So in the dark age, everything was, we can say, secret society, this, that, and the other, all kinds of secret societies working together and in opposition with each other, and all kinds of things, of secrets. But you are able to see beyond the veil. Not just one, two, group of you, not just psychic, not just a psychic lineage, but seemingly ordinary can see beyond the veil, because it will become so obvious. And that's what your Aquarian age is doing. It's making it so obvious what is actually going on that you cannot deny it, you cannot be foolish, and you cannot pretend that this is not going on. You have to face it. And that's the light shining on you, helping you to make the necessary changes that are going to make you stronger. So in the pain and the grief, we have seen you for many, many eons as human beings, and the many different civilizations of you, and the different cosmic vibrations of you. And we've seen the pain and the grief, and we've seen you be overcome with pain, so much so that you destroyed yourselves. We have seen you destroy yourselves, but we know this point in history, this time, that you will not destroy yourselves, because the timeline of future Earth is so bright, it's so golden, it's so creative. You are driven to have victory. And through your connection, you're able to provide each other tools, techniques, and talents that will help to reestablish the integrity within yourself and in the future. So when we think of the future leadership, we can say of a global leadership, is not in the hands of the baby boomers in that kind of generation that are rooted in what's going on right now. It is through the younger generations who are witnessing the events that are going to bring about the major transformation to what we call the leadership of this planet. This is creating a resilience within the younger generations, and it's also waking them up, because these younger generations are meant to see into the veil. They're meant to be different from any generation that has been on this planet. They're actually meant to be cosmic, very interstellar, to possess fifth dimensional knowledge that other generations could not access, did not know how to access, did not have the tool or the technology to be able to access. But the younger generations have the technology, and it was given to these younger generations for a reason. These younger generations have chosen to be a part of this transition and to be leaders, front runners for this massive transformation awakening that's happening on this planet. So all of the children on this planet, all the human beings, regardless of your age, you are at the front line, you are the front runners. You are the great experiment. The whole universe is watching you, is observing you, studying you, seeing what you're going to do, what you're going to choose. Because there's all kinds of agendas and all kinds of options, all kinds of paths you can choose. But there are some that are liberated and some that are not so liberated. But what helps you to maneuver through this period is the shakeup, is the integrity. Your own integrity cannot be denied in this life. It cannot. It's what we call a spiritual slap in the face. You cannot deny your integrity. In the dark age, which we are still in, but in the past dark age, where we were in the thick of the thick, you could live many incarnations with no sense of integrity, and have that experience without having a shakeup. There's a massive shakeup that's happening. Massive shakeup. So in what is your protection is that people will be exposed. That's your protection. That should comfort you. It's just a matter of fact of people seeing. It's so obvious, it's there, but it's a matter of fact of people seeing and making changes to their own life. The future of this planet Earth is one of liberation. And that's happening right now. One of liberation. But in order to slow down that process, there are challengers that want to slow down the process, that want to weaken the future generations so that they can be bound to the matrix. And one of them, weakness, is what I call default genetic. Default genetics it weakens you. And that can be something that can be created through vaccination. One that is not for immune therapy, but one is for genetic interference, we'll call genetic interference, and that can weaken generations, not necessarily now, but the generations to come, because it creates a mutation over many generations. And we're looking at about 100, 200 years of generational makeup and change. And that can weaken and keep one bound to the pharmaceutical. You need to understand the pharmaceutical is changing. Health and wellness is going to replace the pharmaceutical. And this health and wellness is belonging to younger generations. They're drawn to health and wellness. The pharmaceutical is more so bound to the baby boomer generation and what you could see as your parents' generation, regardless if you're 25 or 35. But what's happening is people are liberating themselves and they're starting to get into their integrity. And through doing so, they're starting to seek nature, seek a quality of life that's not codependent, that's not addictive, that's not chemically influenced by outside influences. People are discovering the way of nature. This is something you can find in all kinds of spiritual scripts. It's just how it is. And the original pharmaceutical, you can say, book of medicine is actually a herbalist. It's actually a naturalist book of medicine. It's very ancient. Chinese medicine, Vedic medicine, all of that has been researched thoroughly. It has been manipulated into what we have today. So understanding this will help you to recognize the natural progression of planet Earth moving forward for humankind. And though there will be great challenges and opposition, but that's what resistance is. Resistance is when human beings begin to liberate themselves, there are those who are going to lose energy from the people that are gone. It's like when we think of the Israelites in ancient Egypt. They're no longer bound. They're no longer doing and creating what these people want them to do and to create. They're creating from their integrity, from their own magic, their own mystery, their own connection with God within themselves. And that's what makes a highly empowered civilization and a highly creative civilization. So the future of this planet, moving forward, we will navigate through this much, you can say, interference when we're looking at the pandemic and the reality that's becoming so apparent that many people are discovering, that there's an agenda, one of many, that desires for many people to have this illness. But you also need to remember this is a part of human evolution. This is a part of human evolution, and though it is rough, painful to experience, this is a part of the evolution, the evolution of the human being as we are adapting into a new frequency. So what we would like to express to you all is to find that meditative space within you. Visualize what it is that you desire, because you are the leaders of the future. Your connection is very strong to each other spiritually, all of you human beings. And the more that you meditate your mind on what is possible for you to manifest, the more alive you'll feel, the more liberated you'll feel, and the more connected to higher dimensions you will also experience. Your healing is absolutely important at this time. Your healing, your relaxation, your ability to rest, your ability to dream, your ability to be compassionate, to be resilient. You're being tested. As human beings throughout time are tested. And in many past outcomes, human beings destroyed themselves. And you all know this. You all know massive destruction on this planet. This is something that's embedded in your deep subconscious of what you've experienced. And that's why a lot of your catastrophe fears are quite aggressively painful to witness, to reenact. So in being tested right now, we are watching your choices, and we're very proud of your choices, because many people are choosing integrity, choosing sovereignty, and many people are choosing to look at the obvious, to look into the veil, which is not so secret anymore, to look through the veil and to correct mistakes, to be honest, to be direct, to be forthright. So many people on this planet at this time will experience collapses. As you know, many collapses, both emotionally, mentally, financially, collapses even to family lives. When we're thinking of bankruptcy, when we're thinking divorces, when we're thinking of mental illness, and the rise in desire for therapy and desire for healing is an all-time high. And this is what's going to push people. This is what's going to pressure people into the Aquarian age, into a new way of living, relating to themselves, relating to the planet, relating to their soul. This is what's pushing people to have a new relationship with life. One that's upgraded, and one that is downloading the codes of the Aquarian age. In our relationship with the earth, we're not meant to be in this taking and taking. We're actually meant to be very generous with the earth, with each other. Our relationship with ourselves, we're meant to be very creative, and we're meant to be very virtuous. The relationship with our spouses, we're meant to actually have soul connections. We're meant to be co-creative with our partner, creating total expansion. And the children, the relationship among the children is they're meant to possess an integrity that no other generation has, and honesty that no other generation possesses on this planet at this time. So when we look at these agendas, one of them being weakening the genetic pool of information through genetic mutation over many generations, or genetic interference that will affect many generations, even create infertility in many future generations. And that infertility will be a forceful, we call a forceful depopulation, meaning not of a killing people is what we think, but as more as this is a depopulation through what we call natural occurrence, which is through genetic interference that leads to a generation being infertile. That will target a particular group of people, minorities being the most affected by it. Blacks of America, Hispanics, Asians, these type of things. And that is a way of creating a sort of control of the population. There's a sense of I want to control the population of the future, because we are not meant to have 20 billion people on this planet, especially right now, because there's still much transformation that has to happen within the human development. So adding more people will just add more karma that needs to be healed. And we as a planet are struggling right now with the karma of the past in the dark age. We are still trying to correct our integrity, and it's not easy. So the more karma we're creating on this, the more power struggle we're creating. the more power struggle we're creating, the more difficult it is for us to liberate and for us to be with the people we're meant to be with, our tribe. A lot of individuals have a tribe, especially if you're watching this video connected to a tribe. And this is the natural way that we go to planet Earth in a soul unit, and we go to other planets in a soul unit. It's for protection, it's for guidance, it's for teamship, and it's also for victory. You have a soul union, and that's how you really experience victory in this incarnation, not by yourself. So in other agendas is to sort of block the individuals from meeting their tribe. Because when you're with your unit and you're creating with them, your creativity, especially at this time, will be received by the younger generations and will become leadership. The leaders of this planet are going to be the creatives, especially in the futures to come. The future we call to come. The creatives are going to be the leaders of the future, and a lot of them are children at this time. And a lot of them, in many ways, are not even earthbound. They're star beings. And as challenging as that concept is, that's going to become the new norm. The new norm of planet Earth in 2-3 decades from now is going to be interstellar travel, star beings. It's going to be astrology, cosmology, being intergalactic, all these type of terms that seem so strange, right? So strange, but it will become the norm. Because the Aquarian age is about moving out of mediocrity, moving out of repeating the same thing on loop, right? Which we have done. And it's really about creating original thought. It's about being inventive, innovative, and it's also about being independent minded, thinking for yourself, and no longer being in this earthbound reality, in this third dimension where you have no idea who you are. And in connecting with your soul seems to be something of a dislike. Because in connecting with your soul, you actually have to have integrity to do so. You actually have to follow through. You have to initiate yourself. So a lot of the ancient civilization is returning. The knowledge, the expertise, the craftsmanship, the lifestyle, the mindset, the consciousness. We're healing the consciousness of the dark age, which is lack mentality, poverty, also trauma within the family, sexual distortion, exploitation of men and women, children, control of a means of destroying people so that they feel powerless, stuck in the mud, trapped in their own feelings, don't know how to move on, resentment. These are common things that we're moving away from, that we're healing from. And the planet Earth is going to transition in the next 500 years into the stars and are going to have interaction with star beings that are going to help, but not until human beings take their integrity back and start to take responsibility for themselves and start to pass the tests. So you're being tested. You won't be able to interact with such beings, called interstellar beings, until you take responsibility for yourself and you pass these tests. In the past, in many ways, we sat on it, like what we call sleeping on it, right? And slept on it for so long that we basically lived our whole life asleep, not actually doing what it is that's going to initiate us further and that's going to give us more creative energy. We tapped out very early on. And those that didn't just sleep on it actually received the dream and then began to articulate it, began to shape it, began to model it, began to organize it, experienced what many individuals want to experience, which is their own leadership, their own expanded consciousness. So you are all being expanded, you're all being challenged, you're all being tested, especially right now, and you're being watched, all of you, by interdimensional beings who are everywhere, sort of looking at human beings, seeing if they've learned their lessons of ancient past, if they've learned their lessons. Because if we don't learn our lesson, we'll just repeat. So we're being asked, have you learned your lesson? When it comes to integrity and not just allowing ourselves to be foolish and be fooled and to sleep on it and to not actually believe in ourselves and take responsibility and follow through on our creativity on behalf of many, many people. Some people who can't even do it because they're so bound to the karma of that particular geographic region that it could be so imbalanced. And it'll take many generations to actually bring balance back to that. So the karma is being corrected, right? We talk about good and bad and the polarity. It's the karma is being corrected. It needs to reach a sort of equilibrium, we can say. At least there needs to be some sort of transmutation of a lot of karma on this planet in order for us to successfully transition into the Aquarian age. A lot of karma has to be transmuted. We will not be able to bring this karma of the past into the Aquarian age and actually consider ourselves Aquarian breed. The Aquarian breed is going to be established by the children that are not yet born, because the older generations who will conceive these children will have cleared a good amount of karma through their own passing of tests, initiating themselves through their pain and all of this, finding the technology, which they have, the technology, using that technology to actually elevate their consciousness, and then conceiving these children. They will be, in many ways, they will not be carrying the karma that such older generations, even myself, carry. These children will have no karma, will not be bound to this earth in the way that many of us are bound to our families and the karma of the families and the karma of where we're living and all of that kind of thing that keeps us it keeps us sort of bound. So the real test is our ability to evolve beyond the karma, to transmute and evolve beyond the karma, and to begin to redirect our focus on our leadership and using the technology that isn't just technology of Instagram. It's a technology of us in our brain. Our brain can organize all this social media, all this TV, all of this technology that's outside of us. But our brain also can organize all the internal data, information that's constantly giving to us through the gamma waves that are basically being sent in the massive sort of sending to Earth. The gamma waves, we're receiving massive data information and codes. It's our responsibility, our integrity to decipher them, to unlock them, to use them, to help ourselves get the tools, techniques we need to transmute this karma. And that's what the health and wellness is. Health and wellness of the future, it's seeming small business now, seeming collapsed, almost near seeming broken down or broke, as many people it's slowly, steadily, it was just a baby and then it was just dropped and then has to heal itself and be reborn again, right? So there's a seeming of a death happening on this planet in many ways, not just in the death of much life, but also the death of a crop that literally just was growing, just sprouting, and then all of a sudden it seems gone, and we have to wait for it to grow again, right? But it will grow stronger, more resiliently. These small businesses, part of health and wellness. Health and wellness is more than just what we think of the pharmaceutical, which is getting this sort of immediate repair or this temporary sort of solution. This is about generations of repair, generations of healing. This is about liberation. Health and wellness is about liberation. It's not just, it's about psychological, mental, emotional, physical. It's about ancestral. It's also about karma. And it's also about you being highly educated. Pharmaceutical is not necessarily about you being educated, right? You're not being taught how things work and how it is. You're just, here you go, right? While the health and wellness is about a teaching of you. It's an educational experience on how you as a human being can not just feel your sadness and then get something to try to deal with your sadness, actually uncover, excavate why the sadness is there, the karma associated with the sadness, the sort of behavior, habit associated with the karma, the sort of routine, the sort of participation that needs to happen for this to change. And that's what's going to create people who are a lot stronger, right? So we assure you that in the collapse, in the sort of death and the deconstruction that's happening moving forward into this later year and going into 2021, you are becoming aware of something that many of you were basically oblivious to, and that is you have to pay attention, you have to use your voice. You cannot, it's like you're not going to let one get over on you. You have to pay attention, you have to use your voice. And that's the thing about what sets people free of the matrix and being bound from the ancient Egyptian times, is an ability to use your voice and to not let people get one over you. Is to pay attention, right? To multiple perspectives, not just one, two, or three. That's an independent mind, to be able to look at many things and to have your own opinion that is secure within you, one that is responsible and has integrity, a backbone in you, because you are not just sleeping through life, you're actually educating yourself. So many of us, we sleep on it because whatever it is we're being asked seems too expansive. So we sleep on it and we sleep on it, and then we find ourselves sleeping for a decade. But this is not the time to sleep on it in many ways. It's the time for us to rest and receive the download, which will happen through the gamma waves. Even the 5G, all of that is giving us a download. It's stimulating us. What it's doing is triggering our brains to unlock. That's what it's doing. It's triggering our brains. And it's very intense. It's stimulating to a point where it seems all too high of a stimulation, but is there to actually trigger the brain on switch, you can say, on switch to a more cosmic sort of brain stream, we'll say. And human beings are meant to possess the internet of their own brain, not being reliant on the internet as like a physical machine, but the internet of their own brain, where you are all remote viewers, you are all psychics, you all have the capacity to connect with shamanism. You are all connected to the Akashic record, that's the internet. You can receive ancient knowledge, you can receive all kinds of upgrades, all kinds of data and downloads and upgrades. Just like your earth is constantly upgraded by the cosmic events. Constantly. And that's what keeps the earth in a state of renew. Without that, these massive sort of cosmic events, the earth would not have renewal. So through this death, it's really a death to our ego in many ways. Because when we feel isolated and when we feel we can't do what we've done in the past, literally we cannot do what we've done in the past, it forces us to de-manifest what we've been manifesting and to look at it. Really look at it. And whatever in many ways is not in integrity, that's not connected to the Aquarian age and the overall goal of the Aquarian age, which is to restore the integrity and to raise the vibration. If it's not integrity with that, it's not going to stand, and you're going to realize it. So a lot of collective choices are being challenged and tested, such as selfishness, such as greed. These are common ones, especially when we think of the United States of America. Not just this place, all over the place. There's a masculine energy on this planet that has selfishness, that has greed, and that selfishness and greed in many ways destroys people. It can destroy a whole sort of group of people. Selfishness, greed. So we have been manifesting from a place of selfishness, from a place of greed. And if that is in the Aquarian age, that won't stand, and that's not what the Aquarian age is about. So that will be deconstructed. So everything about the ego, right? The ego of selfishness, greed, the ego that is very unstable, very imbalanced, it's going to be up-leveled. Shaming each other, judgment. Even our whole relationship with children and having children is going to level up. And the way that we hate ourselves, that's being challenged. The way we don't take responsibility for ourselves and for our decisions, that's a big one. No, we don't take responsibility, we don't take accountability, we don't take ownership. We just allow the karma to just keep doing its thing and not even actually passing the tests, just kind of sleeping on it. All of that has to go. This whole Aquarian age is about accountability, responsibility, taking ownership, not sleeping on your karma, but actually doing something with it. Moving the energy is what we're trying to do. So in any of the resistance to death, whatever it is that is what we call rock bottom in what we feel, it's showing us our resilience. It is showing us to test the challenge and how we can really de-manifest anything that we've been doing or believing or assuming or projecting or whatever it is. How we can de-manifest that, because now is the time. And how we can begin to manifest from the ground up, out of the rubble, out of the deconstruction, how we can rebuild from a completely more expanded awareness that's responsible, takes accountability, takes ownership. And those people who don't, right, who want to continue in this sort of matrix, what we call like just not passing the tests, these individuals will find themselves in a state of death. And this is a death of what we're talking about, a death where there's a sort of a death where it leaves this emotional bankruptcy. Literally mentally bankrupt, emotionally bankrupt, and all of that is really about you're working in a system. You're not in the Aquarian sort of energetic vortex, which is the future of this earth. You're sort of you're in the karma of the past, but you're meant to move forward from that. You're meant to retell the story of earth. You're meant to retell the narrative of earth. So the pessimism, the I don't want to look at myself, I hate myself, the reenacting of the past and the childhood, all of that has to go. All of that has to come to a point of resolution for us to evolve and to feel renewal, actual renewal. And this renewal is going to come from a place where we are actually starting to use the earth, connect with the earth, and actually starting to connect with our soul agreement with this earth at this time, which in many ways is not to participate in the whole life of selfishness and greed and karma that leads to I hate myself, I'm gonna destroy myself and destroy these people and just create this mess on earth. No, then we didn't come to participate in to experience that. We came to actually, the soul agreement is to bring that karma and elevate it, liberate it. So that's the great test, that's the great challenge. And we as Pleiadians understand you as human beings, and we've seen what you've gone through for thousands of years. It seems never ending, the amount of change and transformation. There's so much joy and so much bliss, and yet there's so much seeming decay and stagnation, as there are many people who will very much are liberated and liberating, but there are many who just resist and want to sleep on it and don't want to take action, or cowardly. It's a great Wizard of Oz, great charlatans. And a lot of you have been seduced and tempted and tricked by these charlatans who really have nothing, who really are earthbound, not feeding the human ascension, but continually keeping the fate of this earth in the same relay, in the same repeat. So you must become independent minded, because as you navigating forward, your soul agreement with this earth is going to be fulfilled through your ability to be responsible, take accountability, take ownership, and actually to expand yourself, to educate yourself, and to get very successful at it, become very victorious at it, so that you can start to establish a new culture, establish a new, if it's a business, a new creative career, a new creative path, a new creative identity, a new creative self-esteem, a new creative concept, a new creative soul, human soul on this planet. And the technology is there for you. You can feel it. You don't even really need to necessarily go to these perform these type of we'll say kriyas for 40 years to actually get the transformation, because the technology is here in you. You'll know, you'll feel innovative, you'll feel inventive, you'll have ideas, you'll feel very brilliant in this Aquarian age. It's just a matter of fact of you not just sleeping on it, but you being initiated, because you will be tested. You will be asked to do things that are for your clearing of karma, but also for your soul's agreement, for you to become more natural with the earth, for your ego to become more stable and more true and dignified. And you will have to initiate yourself. And you will have to go through many, many initiations. And you will have to go when God and the universe tells you to go, and to rest when you need to rest. And also you will need to channel your energy. You will have to get in touch with your intuition. You have to get in touch with your soul more than ever at this time. Because the future is not set in stone. The future is definitely not any sort of agendas and those outcomes. It has everything to do with your willingness, just a willingness to unlock your mind, to dream a dream, to bring that dream into your heart, and simply just put it out there in the earth. Try to build it, make it happen, and you will be supported. Because the future of this earth it needs it. The survival of human beings needs this new creative identity, needs to be reinvented, needs to be challenged, frankly, for actually the Aquarian age to be one of success. So these creative ideas that you have, it's absolutely important we're not sleeping on it for long periods of time. That we're initiating ourselves with it. We're facing the karma of where we've been in our childhood and all of that, because it'll never get done. No one's going to do it for us. No one's going to. We have to decide to end the loop. We have to decide to reinvent and redefine and build our courage and use our gut, and to not give into coward choices, to not be so seduced and tempted into this and the other because it seems easy, to not just be in this mediocrity with ourselves, but to be expansive. And the more expansive people we have on this planet, the more creativity we can establish on this planet, and more we're going to actually be able to create new thoughts, new thought leaders. And that comes from a space, a cosmic space, an original space, an Aquarian space that we will not be able to achieve until we have the integrity of our spine. That's when we will be having the Kundalini awakening, the spiritual awakening, and that's when we'll start to really function from our enthusiasm, our ability to see into the veil, join into the secret society with the Pleiadians and all kinds of interstellar beings who are very much expanded in the way of their leadership, and to be able to face this earth with heart rather than face this earth and feel our heart shrinking and becoming more weak and then unstable. To face this earth with heart, a strong heart, a mighty heart, a heart of prayer, a heart of meditation, a heart of self-blessing, a heart of resilience. And many people, human beings throughout time, their heart is attacked, has been attacked. The heart has given out because the pressure of this earth, the density of it, the negativity is just way too much for the heart. And that's why you're given a technology at this time, the connection with each other, your sisterhood, your brotherhood is being reinstated, restored. But you actually have to participate, and you have to initiate yourself further. That's the one thing. You could feel it, you know it's there. The expansion, the creative ascension of you, but you gotta actually take the initiation further with yourself. And that's through the responsibility, accountability, and ownership. And that is what's going to give you healing. It's going to bring the pain, but it's also going to bring the deep healing, the deep feeling. When you're healing, there's feeling. And with feeling, you're able to see into the veil, to see things for what it is, the charlatans, the seducers, the magic show, all of that kind of things. And you're actually able to be wise, and to be connected to the Akashic record, and to use your psychic gifts, your remote viewing, your ability to connect with the past, present, and future, to in this moment now redefine and reinvent and reassociate and revolve and revolutionize and resolve. So all of this is about the rebirth. And the more that we feel the rebirth, the more we're going to feel the earth, and the more that we are going to invite in human ascension and start to vibrate more in alignment with the new thought leader that is inside of us, an original thought, a sort of ancient thought, a sort of cosmic thought, a cosmic vocabulary, diction and articulation and speech that's actually going to be a part of the future intelligence of this planet. One of you're accessing the technology of your brain, your consciousness, your meditation, the God within you, to invent the codes you need to code in your creativity in the establishment and the culture and the success and the victory in the physical, for people to interact, for people to receive what they're so hungry for, which is wanting to participate in something that expands their consciousness. And that's what you're meant to do. That's your soul agreement, to provide something that expands human consciousness. Because that's what everybody wants. So all the kids want to expand their human consciousness for human ascension. Nobody wants to be participating in the human karma of the loop and the repetitive thing and the feeling bound to earth. And none of the people coming to this earth at this time want to experience being human bound to the family and to whatever belief and judgment and program that does nothing for that person in the creativity and in the sort of unlocking the higher alchemy, the higher vibrations of this earth. You're meant to expand the human consciousness. That is your soul agreement, so that you can unlock the higher vibrations within yourself, so they can unlock it within themselves. And the toxicity, the imbalances, the injustices are all the same, simply being bound to karma, not knowing how to move it, not knowing the behavior, the habit, being very numb to it, but still just being robotic with it and just doing it for the sake of doing it, not even knowing what you're doing, right? There's a lot of people who don't even know what they're doing because they're so disconnected, so numb, so out of sorts, so really out of body, that these negative forces are just living through their bodies. These earthbound realities that, obsessed with the karma and love the karma, they're fed by the karma. So the more embodied we become through the healing that we do, through the creative upgrade that we have, the more we're actually going to invite in self-love, and the more that we're going to feel complete, we're going to feel content, and the more we're actually going to be participating in reality and actually doing what it is on a soul level we're needed to do in this life, which for many of us is to participate in the flow of love, which is of courage, which is of virtues, which is of philosophy, which is of spirituality, which is of transmutation, transformation, which is of being a new thought leader and reinventing ourselves, redefining everything we ever were brought into, everything that we ever think or believe or has to be like this, that, and the other. It's all being challenged. We're all being broken down, all being looked at and moved in some other way, being shooken up. All of us are being shooken up. And the more that we can start to upgrade the ego and start to really follow through on what's going to give us the creative expansion, what's going to feed the higher vibrations within the physical body, the physical channel, the more that we're actually going to feel alive, the more that we're actually going to invite in beauty, and the more that we're actually going to be establishing what we're meant to establish, was not a selfishness, greed, superficiality, charlatans, and the charlatans are the leaders, and we're just sitting around bound, wrapped up in this kind of low self-esteem, low self-worth. No. We're meant to, the challenge and the great test is using the technology of our own brain, our own energetic, intuitive power. We're energetic beings. We're intuitive, psychic, clairvoyant, clairaudient, all of that. Use that technology, sense our way through life, and begin to de-manifest whatever it is that was being manifested for us by our lineage, our collective ancestors, our religion, or soul society, and begin to manifest what it is on a deeper level, a more expansive level, more magnetic level, more high self-worth level. And that's what we're doing. We're raising our self-worth, and that's what's going to make us feel more competent, more able, more capable, more in our integrity, less earthbound, less resentful, and then I hate myself and I hate you and all of this stuff. So all of this comes up is because we're presented with it, because God's saying, you have the technology, now do it. Move something around. Use your technology that you have been given. It's not just outside you, it's actually inside of you. Now use it. I give you this challenge because you have the technology. You didn't have it many thousands of years ago when everything was completely destroyed, but you have it. It's been restored. Now it's up to you to use it. Use the self-psychology of your own brain waves, own gamma waves, these high vibrations that are actually in your brain right now. Use them. Move it. Change it. Remodel it. Reinvent it. Reestablish yourself. And I think that is, when we move into the future, that's really what's going to be paving way for these younger generations to stand on this earth with not just a technology that they barely use, or they kind of disassociate with it when they don't know what's going on, but to actually stand in the technology and have the gift, the actual gift of using it. So this is the message from the Pleiadians for the future that is happening, for the present that is happening, and the healing that can help us to further move forward, further let go, surrender, and to further really invite in these sort of higher vibrations that are going to create the Aquarian age, where we're talking about leadership for younger generations in the decades to come. It's going to be coming from a place of integrity, a place from feeling, from healing, from being heartfelt, and coming from a place of desiring to transmute the karma of this planet, not to keep repeating it, we're just destroying each other, and the fear and the terror and the pain, and just being very sort of in it, right? So we're using these tools, these talents, these gifts of the technology of our own brain, our own mind stream consciousness, or meditation, our kundalini, right? The fullness of our creative power, our kundalini, to actually begin to naturally feel the sort of extraction, the sort of removal, and the sort of elevation or the ascension of these kind of lower energies, so that we can start to really connect with that God Christ consciousness that we all have within us, that kind of Holy Spirit, and move past the shame, the judgment, all of this feelings not being good enough, that really it's a way we sabotage ourselves from actually. It's almost like we sleep on it and we fall asleep and we keep falling asleep, but not really expand ourselves. And that's a kind of resistance, is the resistance to the internet, or in our connection with each other, right? Sharing with each other, is that we expand each other tremendously. And that's the resistance. There are many posers who do not want us to expand ourselves. But the protection that we get is through the more we use our technology of our brain, right? Of our whole energy, our kundalini awakening, the more that we become very resilient naturally, we become very strong aurically, and the more that we have we are not so easily seduced, because we have the right sort of mind stream. It's very like a mantra that's very, very fifth dimensionally brilliant, that we become very almost 3 to 9 seconds ahead. We're very vigilant. We pay attention. naturally we're just at the right place at the right time. And naturally we can see things for what they are without being seduced and tempted and influenced. We're not no longer influenced like most of us are just influenced by what we hear, see, believe from other people. We become more independent minded. We become more of a leadership. And that's what really keeps us in the grace of God. So I'm going to play some little drum to activate the chakra system, to activate the power within you so that you can begin to really awaken your psychic that is in you. That's the real resistance, is when you awaken the psychic within you, you become very, very knowledgeable about this earth, like almost like you're an old soul. And you're no longer naive, you're no longer stupid, you're no longer just cowardly, weakened, and like feeling pathetic about yourself, or feeling really harsh or judgmental, or really even destroying yourself. You start to feel more connected, not just to this earth, but connected to the innocence of yourself, more connected to the true intention for this earth, to your sisters and brothers. And you start to be able to really transmute and maneuver that karma stuff, that dark stuff, that dark being stuff, right? You start to be able to really transmute that through your philosophy that comes directly from the Assachic record of higher dimensions. So it makes you very smart, just psychically, intuitively. So Just feel the energy moving through you, all around you, raising your vibration, helping you to be fearless, gain the virtues of your ancient civilization within you that was able to vibrate beyond the third dimensions, be able to vibrate, act in human harmony and human integrity and dignity, and able to experience the golden age of higher creativity, not just for a collective group, not just for what we call a chosen group, but for many generations, seeking to evolve beyond war and trauma and the continued karma that really doesn't lead to the higher vibrations, but to more challenges for one to level up. So now I'm going to share with you some light language from the Pleiadian beings, as well as the interstellar beings that are of the higher vibrations of love, sovereignty, dignity, integrity, and divine protection. So listen to the sound waves and experience the new thought form within you as it deconstructs the sort of matrix of the mind, the sort of belief system that has been ingrained in you from multiple generations. So you can really sort of reinvent your mind stream so that your mind stream can be one that is an Aquarian sort of coding. Inashiwa hema hiti hasihu. Andia soni hahia shoeha. Akune isibu isinai shinu hisu. Ahani isikai sowena isi. Anu ishia hueha na isa we nawe. Ahona ikuisa andi asuhudi. Ashue na isa hiyonu esina. Ako esambu ipandia hitais. Akunu hishiwe raka esa andu. Aonda esi hashi andu sika. Atu isi wena wela asia. Ahana esi andu uina esa. Ako eshinawe sha ashi oshundu. Andusa eamba. Atu ekaesani. Only eshia wenawe isawe. Kundi isendu. Apu eshinawe. Kaneta isenda ako esiniwi. Ashu ewetia samba. Ahuda ekai. Andu ishiwenawe sa I atue. Akani itae sa andu akawena. Antu ishi ahesa unu. Ako esebo undu ita. Ashina esaeta okuti isanue. Ahan ndusi aushi awena. Awena wetae santu ekae. Aweta shiwe dushuku apaa. Apa ande asu ande a isa. Ako ashino utu ushi awena. Akai isane aka atu ikesa. A ishino undi a lushaneka. Tu isiwe na wika ichanui daeda. Aina ikae leso ande anda. Akanushi aeto uta unui. Akunda eta eva hai atu. Aku esa etae indu u. Aku a untu ishiwi a ashua. Ahane esae antu kaeda e. Puto inti asita e kamutu. Ashiu ikanu isa e andu uka esa anti. A asa antu ae a isi. Hu ambuta hoshiwa ena esa. Now the last thing I will do is just pull a card for you from the Indigo Angel, which is a beautiful deck. I'm just going to pull 2 cards for what can help you to move forward, to how can you best pass the tests, the challenges of this time, and to bring about peace into your life, the contentment. That's all we really have, is that kind of peace. How can we greater have peace in this life energy, this sort of change that's happening? We have Mother Mary at the bottom of the deck. So working with Mother Mary is working with the female empowerment, and it's also working with your ability to rise above, as Mother Mary was quite resilient in her ability to rise above the sort of degrading. She was being attacked, right? Being the degrading of human intelligence that makes human intelligence of being brilliant into stupidity. So the degrading, so there's overcome the degrading of human intelligence. You are very creative, you are very brilliant in your mind. Whatever these non-realities are, it's very unnatural. It's unnatural for us to feel stupid, to not be good enough, to be cowards. It's not natural for us to be in such experience with life. Our experience of life is meant to be very expansive, very cosmic. It's meant to be very creative, and we're meant to ascend. We're meant to ascend through our life. So we have one. I'm going to show you another card, and then we have 2 cards. So what can better help us? We have heart and soul. So really vibrate from your heart and soul at this time. That will help you to bring peace into your mind. Vibrate from the heart and soul. This is a time where everybody is being forced to drop into their heart and soul. You cannot play the games, the mind tricks of your mind anymore. You can't be caught in your mind avoiding and denying your heart and soul. You just can't, because the heart and soul is so prevalent, is so powerful at this time, where our heart and soul is on fire for each other, for change, for transformation, for healing of the past, for healing of the karma. And also that heart and soul is on fire for our creativity and for our dignity as a human species. So the mind games that we play, where we don't, we avoid ourselves, we're not honest with ourselves, we are not willing to face our karma, or even really work through our anger, that sort of mental power struggle we have, the conflict within the mental body, it will be met with the heart and soul. And many people are having a life review, and that's why much probably divorce and all these sort of reforms are happening, because we're getting in touch with the heart and soul. We're starting to really forced to focus on the kind of what is going to expand my heart and soul, what is going to expand my consciousness, and what is going to set me into my leadership as a human being. I'm not meant to be here and just be ruled by this power struggle within myself, within my mind, and feel completely disconnected from myself and weak, right? So acceptance to what is going on, and also the moon. So we're seeing the moon behind her head. There's something, the moon is about intuition. It's about recognizing your intuition is your compass. It's your key to unlocking the universe. Develop your psychic energy, develop your psychic gifts through meditation, through channeling, through forest bathing, being with the ocean. You are special. So it's saying you have talents and gifts. I'm hearing very shamanistic talents and gifts. That's about technology, soul technology. Your heart and soul is the technology. Your mind is just simply the receiver. Your heart and soul is the technology. Your mind is the receiver, right? Your mind is not the technology in what we think it is. It is the receiver. It's the one that makes the sort of correlations. Your mind makes the correlations. It sort of interprets, it categorizes, it organizes. But the generator, the sort of energy, the technology, the generator to the light within your brain is your heart and soul. Without your heart and soul, your brain would have no light, right? Without your heart beating, your brain would be basically brainless. We know this. And then divine order. So the green, I'm seeing in this green, there's about the divine order. I'm hearing from the archangels, the higher beings, from Archangel Michael, that there are new leaders that are going to be put into place. These old leaders I'm seeing are going to be, there's going to be new, sort of a new wave of individuals that are going to be creating a new culture, going to create a new fashion, going to create a new identity, a new sound current on this planet. And this is going to be within the younger generations that are going to actually prevail through these challenges, because they're very, very strong, because of their heart and soul is very intact. And the divine order has to do also with the balance of the scales, the checks and the balances. What is not working will be put out. It's just how it is. What's not working, you can try to force it all day long, try to keep doing it, but if it's dead, it's dead energy. You're working with dead energy. There's no longevity. It won't stand, right? And it won't stand because people are actually starting to really vibrate in their heart and soul, and are starting to no longer just put up with their own nonsense, and definitely will not be putting up with other people's nonsense. It's like, I don't have the time. And then revelation, the fire of your heart and soul, the fire of your sort of life energy, your life purpose, your kindredness is going to give you that sort of resilience, this sort of relentlessness, right? That's going to help you to actually be a creator rather than a destroyer, to be a creator rather than a destroyer, to actually really embrace this challenge in this task, embrace it as a miracle for what needs to come, because there cannot be rebirth without death. There cannot be new energy without the old being removed and being remodeled and being sort of, recognized for its ending, right? We cannot move in a new direction without closing one door, without letting something go. We have to let something go for something new to come in. We can't just try to be in two different sort of contradicting realities at the same time, right? So in order for us to be integrity, we have to resolve the lack of integrity so that we can become more in our integrity. And we'll be challenged by all kinds of darker forces, right, that quote unquote want to ruin us and all of that. But this is something we've experienced for multiple lifetimes, right? The ruining of us, I'm going to ruin you, and all of that kind of, these bozos and these, frankly, these charlatans are just running around this earthbound, not knowing what they're doing, completely out of body, right? Just ruled by a sort of belief system that is really the sort of challenger Shiva faced in the human ascension. But in the human ascension, when we really vibrate in union with these sort of interstellar beings such as the Pleiadians, we are divinely protected, because the expansion of this earth is in the human consciousness, we'll say. The creativity of this earth is in the human consciousness. So when the human consciousness of an individual, multiple individuals, is actually in a place of creation rather than destruction, creation has your back. Destruction in many ways does not have your back. Creation has your back. Creation is your greatest sort of protection. It's your prayer, your blessing, your yoga, your whatever it is you're doing. It is your safe house. It is your safeguard. It is your ascension. It is your path from one dimension, from one karma of a whole generation, a whole collective consciousness for multiple thousands of years, into the pilgrimage it takes to burn your karma off, leave it behind in the desert, right? Let it die within you, even if you die in that life. That pilgrimage where you will experience the moving on. You will not be bound to that anymore. You will have moved on. And that's what it is. It's about moving on. It's about ascending further, initiating ourselves further through our fearlessness, through our virtues, through our prayer, and through our heart and soul. We're actually able to fulfill the creative destiny that all of us set out to experience. It's just a matter of fact of using the technology of your heart and soul the fire of your heart to actually believe in yourself, believe in your angels, expand your consciousness, and actually deconstruct and reprogram yourself according to your cosmic Akashic record type of genetic stream of energy, rather than your karmic earthbound sort of wrapped up in this, that, and the other sort of limiting, more destructive type of stream of consciousness that's more murky, and there's a less flow and less energy, right? It feels more stale and less electric, right? We want the Himalayan water. We want electric water, not water that's just sitting in some creek that's just kind of has no electricity in the water. It doesn't move any energy. It just kind of sits there and sleeps on it. So we're being asked to use the fire of our heart in our soul, and the revelations we're going to have is within our heart and soul, and that's what's going to basically give us the creative blueprint, the compass on how we can further move ourselves into the proper alignment, into the actual reality of the future planet, which is about the rebirth of the human consciousness. It's about spiritual awakening. It's about Kundalini awakening. It's not about human beings running around like some madhouse doing whatever the hell they want. To whoever they want, and it's about we're reaping the consequences of our collective actions from our past so that we can move on, right? So it's not of a punishment, it's for us to move on. It's for us to take these sort of karmic whatever this is that we're working with that seems troublesome, bothersome, and to actually find it in us, our knowing how to use the technology of our heart and soul, so that we can start to really begin to program the mind with the proper thought forms that are going to make us more energetic, more electric, more magnetic, more expansive, so that we can start to move into an area of our intelligence, and an area in our space, our youth, our life force, that is more resilience, more creatively prolific, and that is definitely working the network, literally the network of higher intelligence. Really is higher vibration, higher vibrational beings, higher dimensional energies that are going to make our sort of thought and our sort of belief and our sort of inner concept, self-concept, whole self-psychology, our whole psychomagnetic field, whole physiological field, one that actually is very rhythmically in tune with the natural reality, one that is of creative potential, healing, and of enthusiasm, and a willingness to move on. So we have merging with resilience. So that's the message, the heart. Morganite is a master healer, encouraging us to heal feelings of separation. As a healing companion, this crystal asks us to merge with what we are resisting. So we're resisting change. We need to merge ourselves with it. We need to really connect with it. You must be fearless about it. I'm going to really just go with it, take a risk, and really build up my trust muscle, right? My sort of fearless muscle. Morganite's vibration encourages us to take our needs and ourselves seriously, to know that we are creating our well-being through our actions. If reality is not what we want, we need to seek out what it is we do need to change to achieve an improvement. So there's about actions. It's about following your heart and not just sleeping on it and just playing around with it. It's actually about, you have to initiate yourself. You actually have to be willing to move forward, to move on, to actually take it your responsibility and move with that, right? Morganite supports introspection and examination of what our feelings want to communicate. We have great potential and wisdom in our emotions, and this power can go for us or against us. Morganite benefits those who find they can be easily overwhelmed by feelings, be it their own or others. So this is about embracing your feelings. This is about not being fearful of feelings or overwhelmed. Understand your emotions are giving you wisdom, helping you to be initiated and to move on so that you can actually do many things in this life, not just sleep on it, not just sleep on life and, wake up and you're 85, right? There's something about being direct to the point, being intentional, being driven. There's something about victory is you actually following through in your heart, right? Getting to know your heart, having the clarity of mind in your own heart space. This is about you getting to know your feelings, and not being disconnected or numb or sort of in this powerlessness with your feelings, or in this I hate my feelings or whatever that is, because all you're doing is you're just delaying your awakening, right? Waking out of the slumber and the change that many people want so bad, but they just don't have the sort of gut within their heart, right, to actually make that quantum leap, because making a quantum leap is actually going to require tremendous resilience and going to require tremendous positive self-concept, and it's going to require you to really access the technology of your own sort of consciousness, your own network, right, your own internet, which is you and your heart and soul, to really persevere and to prevail. So we're being asked to be direct, to be intentional, to take action with whatever it is creatively we're needing to actually implement, or we need to organize and delegate in our lives, because the future is now and the future is happening, and the future in 2021 is going to be very different. There's going to be a completely different sort of stream of consciousness or sound current. And anything that's of the past, it's not going to work. So if there's selfishness and greed and all of this culture that maybe we've put up with, we're not going to be so into any in the future. We're going to be into in the future and things that really expand our horizon, expand our consciousness, and things that really educate us. Not just traditional, I'm talking about the way someone speaks, the way they express themselves, the way they deal with their emotions. All of that, we're looking to be educated. We're looking for empowerment of this future. And we're not going to be so drawn to just the shiny ball, but then there's nothing there. It's like, the car that has a beautiful coloring, but then when you get to the person who sits in the car, they're a dud. They're like a coward. They're the Wizard of Oz, right? This beautiful theatrical show, but then when you meet the wizard, it's like he's not a wizard. He's a charlatan. So we're really not into the false prophets, right, who proclaim and have no spine to back it up, right? What we're really looking for in the future of this reality is we want to be shaken up. We actually we want to move as people. We're done with the separation, and not just isolation. We're actually done with separation in general, where we are separating privilege from low privilege. We're done. You're going to a rich area, and then right beside the rich area there's just a bunch of homeless people, right? We're done with the separation between parents who are choosing the wrong partners and then having kids, and the kids are like raising themselves at 12. We're done, right? There's something we're hungry for, and I feel like we're going to start to feed each other it, which is really about us, is really about in the future we're wanting expansion. We're wanting creative expansion. That's the two words that express the vocabulary of the future is creative expansion. That's the vocabulary, the diction, the philosophy, the sort of society, economy, sort of sociology, religion we're looking for in the future is creative expansion. Show me how to use the technology of my heart and soul. Show me, what is a spiritual awakening? What is Kundalini awakening? Because there are many people who are activators, initiators, they're teachers, they're masters, they're people who are futurists, right? They're already forward thinkers, forward movers that are here to actually share this freely to help people, more people get this kind of knowledge so that they can really begin to anchor this type of culture, this type of self uh, creative expansion, anchor it in all parts of this planet Earth. And I think the real challenge is that because we have not been in a creative expansion in the dark age for a long time, to really anchor that in the physical is going to take a lot of energy, because we've been in this sort of movement, this momentum of like destruction, this momentum of shame and judgment and attacking each other and like not taking responsibility for ourselves, and victimization, power struggle, domination and submission, exploitation of sexual distortion, feminine masculine sort of distortion, all of that kind of thing. That's a powerful momentum of overall planetary karma. So to really rewrite that, to like move that kind of, we call that cruise liner, and turn it into a different direction, will take a lot of fuel, it'll take a lot of energy, a lot of effort. But before we can even get into our sort of creative expansion as a planet, as a human species, we actually need to we need to make a choice to creatively expand. We have to make a choice. And making that choice to creative expand is going to ask of us to rewrite our own sort of ancestral, generational curse and ancestral trauma. It's going to ask us to rewrite our own sort of momentum of our family that we lead, right? As the front runner, as the young person, right? Or your family, or right, you're the front runner because you're watching this video, right? We have to be able to rewrite our own sort of psychology and the way we relate to ourselves before we can really relate to our creative expansion, really know what that means, and start to really get into the practice of it, right? Which is an alchemy, right? Like turning metal into gold, right? Turning metal into gold. That's like an alchemy, right? It seems kind of superstitious or auspicious, but it's actually an alchemy. That auspicious thing is that heart and soul, that kind of guiding compass that's leading us into not only the victory. When we think of material, we're also talking about the victory as in our sort of consciousness and our psychic gifts and our ability to connect to the interstellar beings, the Pleiadian beings. That was what's going to feed us. That's what's going to make us as human beings a lot more vast, not a lot more complete, a lot more unified than just being disconnected from our heart and soul, sleeping on it, and not really using our imagination or our dreams or sort of courage to actually make these power moves within our own individual life, within our routine, our own self-concept, our own self-worth, our own self-esteem. We need to be making power moves. So many times we're like looking for power moves in the physical, like material, with this power move, or we're so much into just wanting into the not getting what we want. So we got to do things to, things are not in our power to get what we want, right? But the real sort of victory is getting what we want through actual creative expansion, not through just creating the karma with ourselves and still not really getting what we really want, because we don't have the spine to actually back it up and hold it anyways, right? So these are the messages for you for this time. So thank you for joining me.